let's rank some stuff. We've got some data here of 4 people's test scores, and if we wanted to rank them best to worst, we could use a function in Excel to do that. First, if you type equals rank, you can see that there are 3 functions that come up. This last one, just regular rank, is actually an old function that's used only for backward compatibility. Because that's been replaced with RANK.AVG and RANK.EQ, we'll focus on those top 2 right now. The difference between them is how the functions treat values that are equal within a certain list. And we'll go over that in our video today. So let's start with this RANK.EQ function. You can see that we need to give this function first the number. What that means is the number that we want to actually rank. So in this case, we'll do that 75 right there. The reference then is the list of numbers that you want to look at. So in this case, we'll simply do these 4 numbers right here. Because we'll want to pull this formula down to all the rows in this data, we'll hit F4, and that adds these $signs to the cell reference, which means that it's not going to change that reference. If we hit comma, the last thing that this function has is order. Now it's in brackets, which means it's optional, and it's going to default to 0, which means descending order, but you could also put a 1 in there for ascending order. We'll leave it blank and see what it does. And that gave us a number of 4. So what this is saying is this is the 4th best score in this list, which, because we only have 4 scores, we can confirm that just with our eyes. If we pull that down, Excel knew that it needed to move that B2 down to a B3 in this case, but it kept those other numbers the same because we put the $signs there. And this gives us a list that shows the best score here is the 100, and then we've got a tie for the second place, 2 and 2, and then the last place is this 75. If we wanted to do opposite ranking or ranking in ascending order, we could put a 1 right here, and that 4 changes to a 1, and then you can see it just ranks it opposite. Let's look at the rank.avg, and here we'll do rank.avg. The format is exactly the same. We'll reference that 75, and then we'll come down here and we'll rank it in descending order, so we won't put anything there. And again, we get a 4. Like I mentioned though, the difference between the .eq and the .avg is how it treats numbers that are the same in the data set. So if you remember, the rank.eq just gave a rank of 2 to the 95, and then it skipped over 3, and then it went directly to 4. This function here, instead of assigning a 2 to the 95 scores, it assigns a 2.5. In essence, what this does is it says, we know that the 100 is number 1, we know that the 75 is number 4, and the 2 95s would theoretically take places 2 and 3, and so it just averages 2 and 3 and gives us 2.5. Obviously, you wouldn't need a function to figure out how to rank 4 separate lines. Where this gets really useful is when you have a data set that's very large. So let's take a look at some data that is rather large. We've got on the screen here the 2018 worldwide gross box office numbers for over 300 movies. And if we wanted to rank these, we can't just spot check them with our eyes. So here's where the rank function comes in super handy. This data set separates the US total box office, non-US total, and then adds a worldwide. You can see that this is actually sorted based on the total worldwide gross box office. So you kind of get a sense for how things would rank. But let's look at the specific USA rank and the non-USA rank. So here, we're just going to type rank.eq. The number that we'll be looking at in this first line is the 678.8 for Avengers. And then the reference is going to be all of these numbers. If you hit Control, Shift, and down, it will select everything in that data set. And again, we'll hit the F4 button to make sure that we keep those cells. And then you can see that in this case, Avengers actually came in second in the box office. If you double click that, it will actually fill that formula all the way down. Okay. And based on the USA rank, Black Panther was actually the top grossing film, followed by Avengers, followed by Incredibles 2, and then Jurassic World. If we wanted to rank the non-USA totals, we could do RANK.EQ. We'll reference this column now. Over here, and F4, and then we'll pull that down. So this gives us the rank relative to the non-USA totals. So Avengers Infinity War was actually the #1 movie outside of the US and #2 inside of the US. This is a fun data set because you can see where the US was different from the non-US. The biggest example here, Operation Red Sea and Detective Chinatown 2 in the non-USA rank was 8 and 10 respectively, and in the USA rank was 170 and 161. So these were Chinese films that didn't get a wide release but did very well in China. So that's the rank function. It's pretty simple. You can click the link in the description to download this workbook and play around with this box office data or anything related to the rank functions that we've gone over. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to get videos like this throughout the week. And until next time, go spreadsheet something awesome.